In this video, we will be continuing with the process of going from this upright posture down into the squat and then back up, maintaining stability, keeping a good foundation, holding that pressure in our feet all the way down to the floor, and then holding it as we come back up and keeping it even while you're standing, keeping it in all your postures. That natural ability to hold that pushing pressure down into your feet is what you're relearning to do with getting these legs to work better. That is imperative that you do that because everything you do depends on that. So those people that have the weaker legs, the ones that start to do something and they are shaking, their legs start shaking as they begin doing these movements. Part of that is weakness in those muscles. And another part is the stiffening that we have, whether it be physiological, but there is a lot of psychological stiffening that goes on in there too. And like we were talking about with many things, it's a combination of both, but you don't really care what combination it happens to be, what's really causing it. You just want to eliminate it. So strengthening those legs is one. Two is learning how to relax that stiffening posture to gain better ability and to relax those jerky movements out of your legs as well. I used to do the same thing. And once in a while, I will still have that in some fashion of smaller episodes, but it's, again, just that stiffening that we go through that you must learn to deal with. Because if you don't, everything you try to do is going to be for naught because you can't control that part of it. You'll be unable to do the rest of it. So for those people that have the weaker legs, the shaky legs, you need to be using a wall, and many of you need to be using the corner to help you strengthen these legs, learn how to relax them, learn how to trust yourself on your feet so you're able to do this other stuff independently to be able to move forward. You must be able to get over that glitch to be able to move into the fourth stance, to be able to even to do anything useful, meaningful with these first three stances. So let's go back over to the wall again. And again, you want the heels of your feet about 1 foot length, one of your foot lengths away from the wall. So when you come back to the wall, and not just plopping back to the wall, but falling back to the wall, I want you to come to the wall by first squatting and then sticking your butt out and see how it just naturally came to the wall. And then you can relax onto it. Everything is a controlled movement. So while we're on that, how do I get away from this wall? That's a big problem with many of you, and some of you will try to push yourself out, but of course that just leads you into a falling forward movement. So we don't want to do that either. If you slide down the wall a little bit and then come forward, just reversing the process and then standing up. So what are you doing? To go back onto the wall, you're coming into this flat-footed squat. And then you're relaxing and doing whatever you want to do on the wall. To get off of the wall, all you're doing is coming into that flat-footed squat and then standing up. So here again, it's the same thing as sitting. It's the same thing as squatting. It's the same movement that you use every single time, proving to yourself that these basic movements are always the same regardless of what the activity is. And the sooner you learn that and realize that, the easier a lot of this stuff is going to become. So here, you might spread your feet apart, about shoulder width apart, because if your feet are too close together, many of you will not have the stability and control to keep you from sliding from one side to the other on the wall. So having your feet apart a little bit wider allows the pressure to be on the insides of the feet, which will help push your body to the center and keep you stable. More on that topic in another video. So from here, this is where you're going to begin your exercises of squatting and coming back up using the wall as support to help you build these muscles up, strengthen them. Now, notice I have my knees flexed a little bit to begin, which is where you should be, but many of you are going to be back here with your knees locked backwards, especially those that have a tendency to stoop forward and those that have the hyperextending knees. These will be locked back and you'll be stuck here. And you'll try to come and start this with your upper body, but what does that do? Bringing your upper body forward pushes pressure back on those knees. And you need to feel that to understand it, to be able to convince your mind, yep, that's true. I can feel it. Do that. Now, here you can do that safely because you're leaning back, the pressure's in your heels, right? Pushing you back to the wall. So keeping your tuchus on the wall, holding your knees back and just bringing your shoulders forward, that pressure still doesn't go into your toes all that much to cause you to fall forward. So here, experiment with that, knees back, shoulders forward, to feel how that pressure pushes back on your knees and how it starts to become very uncomfortable there in your knees as well. And those are the reasons a lot of you fall forward when you're standing up, because you'll be doing this. You have nowhere to go. These knees, that's your most important joint for all these movements you're trying to do. All this unnatural movement that you're trying to turn back towards the natural side, you must be able to gain more control of your knees. Because when those knees straighten up, when those knees are stiffened, that's when you have more problems. So as we're going through all this stuff, you're working on these knees, get these knees more flexible to be able to not only flex, but to stay flexed and stay down. That's where we're going with a lot of this. So beware, be careful, be thoughtful of what's going on here. And I know that's a lot to ask right now for many of you because you're just trying to get stable on your feet. You're still having trouble relaxing up here. But it's information that you need now to be able to incorporate it later on. Planting a seed up there. So here we are up here, too straight in our posture, being pushed against the wall with the heel pressure. And now the only thing you're going to do is focus on knees. And to do that, we need to keep our butt and our shoulders against the wall. And now as you come down, the only thing you're bending are knees. Flexing knees, push your knees forward and your body goes down. Push into your feet and your body comes up the wall. The smoother the wall is, the easier it's going to be for you to do this. Knees down, knees up, knees down, knees up. Now, every movement begins with what? A push down. Push down, go down. Push down, come up. You're pushing yourself in both directions. So you should be able to do quite a few of these. If you're not, then that's telling you how weak you are. So what you want to be able to do is build these leg muscles up, these thigh muscles, where you can do 25 of these. In the beginning, many of you are not going to be able to do that, and that's okay. What you're working on right now is relax hands, arms, to be able to relax those knees, to be able to come down and then come back up. You're just working on relaxing those knees. Now, many of you with these stiffened postures and the shaking legs, when you're trying to do this, you will be too unstable to do that on the flat wall. Because as you're pushing up, one leg will be pushing a little bit more than the other. You'll be leaning your upper body one way or the other, and you'll be sliding on the wall. So for those of you having that problem, you need to be doing all of this in the corner. In the corner where you have those two walls coming together. So when you're in the same stance, you will be pushing yourself back to the center of that corner, and the two walls will help support you and keep you from sliding one way or the other. It'll give you a little bit more support, a little bit more stability, so you can do this better, so you can work on just your legs, just using your knees. When that becomes a little bit easier for you to do, then we need to move on to the second phase of working here on the wall. And what that is doing the exact same thing you're doing, except now your shoulders are going to be forward. This would be like you're doing the ball drop, but you're squatting down and allowing your shoulders to come forward, still keeping that increased pressure towards your heels to keep your bottom on the wall, but learning how to bring those shoulders forward and feeling that and coming all the way back up and then coming down again and then back up. Now, the pressure on your feet is going to be somewhat different when you get here. And some of you will feel the pressure on your bottom become very, very light. And you might even come off the wall like I just did. And that's because with your shoulders coming forward, of course, the pressure is moving forward in your feet. And as you move forward enough and get these shoulders far enough forward, the pressure equalizes on your feet, equal on the front and the back, and you move on to flat feet. And that is why your bottom is now off the wall. To move back on the wall, all you have to do is move your shoulders up, move that pressure back on your feet, more towards your heels, back to the wall you go. But an important point to remember is do that slowly, carefully, so you're not, boom, falling back on the wall. You don't want to, that stuff. You need to control all of these movements. All of it is slow and careful. Smooth it out. That's the other part about having the relaxing posture. That's the other part about releasing these muscles so you stop this shaking of the muscles. Now, how effective can this be to eliminate some of that shaking or all of that shaking in your legs? Well, the answer is a great deal. As I said, I used to have shaking in my legs when I would try to do some things and hold a posture for a while, even standing in a ready stance. My legs would start shaking like that. But then I learned that the more I relax, I could relax that shaking away. That's how you eliminate that shaking. The other part is you have to strengthen those muscles to be able to support you. Otherwise, they are going to stiffen up, trying to keep you stable, and everything gets worse. So when you're doing this on the wall and you're going up and down and you start getting shaky, come back to the wall, go back to the basic, just relax, hands, elbows, shoulders, and start it again, over and over and over again. One, you need the repetition, the practice, just to be able to do that, to release that stiffness. And you need to practice doing this to strengthen those legs. So when you become more comfortable doing it with your feet out here further away from the wall, bring these feet just a little bit closer to the wall and do the same thing with the squat and your shoulders coming forward. But be careful. Now with your feet closer, if you try to keep this bottom on the wall, you're going to quickly push yourself too far forward with your shoulders coming forward and or your butt pushing too much back and push yourself forward. But then when you start to come down, you're quickly onto the flattened feet and away from the wall. And now see, I can come down quite a ways and still be okay. So you're working on getting flatter and flatter on those feet, controlling your posture to where you gain the ability to where you don't need that wall anymore. You can stabilize flattened feet and hold them flattened as you're controlling your posture all the way down, all the way up. Not rocket science, just a little bit of common sense and using little tools, techniques to help you merge into what you need to do. Now, instead of our back to the wall, now I want to reverse that. And I'm going to put my hands on the wall. And here again, I'm going to have my feet about one of my foot lengths away from the wall. And here you want to keep your fingertips lightly on the wall. You want to keep them about eye height. Keep your eye looking straight ahead, kind of watching your hands out of peripheral vision as you do this. And just do the exact same thing, relaxing, keeping your arms right here. This was just like we did with the ball drop, only instead of your hands being here, your hands are going to be up here. It's the same thing. Same thing. So now it's just lightly on the wall, and down you go. Then standing forward against the wall, that will help you perfect your skills and gain some confidence as well. You also need to be working on one leg at a time. You need to be able to center yourself over that one foot and squat down and come back up to help build up those leg muscles, and also beginning the transfer of body weight, feeling that flat foot. Now, most all of you with these posture problems are going to need to do this in the corner to keep your stability, because it takes a little bit more, quite a bit more. And otherwise, you can do it in front of a counter, in front of the sink, where you can hold on in case you go back. Wrapping your fingers around the sink will help you catch yourself. But then you have enough support using your arms where you can do that with just one leg. And there again, how many should I do? Well, you should be able to do 25 on each leg. And that's without stopping. If you can do that, that tells you I have enough strength in that leg, in both legs, to be able to do the things I want to do. And with that increasing strength, you will be able to do more things. The other thing, as we get into the fourth posture, this transfer of weight from side to side and the side strides, we're going to be introducing lifting the heel, or pushing pressure into the ball area of the foot and using just the ball area of your foot, and the flexing foot in the movement. And of course, the forward movements is going to be that as well. What muscles control that? See down here in the calf of your leg, and that means you have to strengthen those muscles as well. And this is a big problem with a lot of people with these restricted postures. If you look at their legs, the calf of their leg, it'll be very skinny. And that tells you immediately they haven't been flexing their foot very much. So those of you that have that skinny bird-like calf, you need to do a lot of work, because you haven't been using those muscles very much at all. So what we can do to start helping that, to start remedying that problem, to start using those muscles, we're going to come over to the wall, and now we definitely want pressure towards the ball area of our feet. You can see I'm about 1.5 or so, maybe 1 1/3. You can see my posture. I've allowed my elbows to flex, and I don't care, you can put your whole hand on the wall right now if you need that, because what you're going to be doing now is hold this posture and coming up on the ball areas of your feet. Some of you, again, will need your feet fairly wide apart. Others can do this with your feet fairly close together. And I recommend that you try to do it with your feet a little bit close together, because it's a little bit more conducive. You might need your hands spread a little bit further on the wall. I don't care. Do what you need to do. And as you gain more control, try to lighten up on your hands and just use your fingertips and just push into the ball area. Keep pushing, and your heel will come up as your foot flexes at that joint. Here again, you need to do this on just one foot as well. To be able to strengthen each individual one. And as you do that individually, whether you're squatting on the flattened foot or doing your heel lifts on just the ball area of your foot, you will find out which leg is weaker than the other and which one you need to do a little bit more work on. So these are very good exercises that you need to do. It's not an option. You can't continue to improve your movement ability if you don't have the strength to do it with. If you're unstable using the wall, use the countertop in front of the kitchen sink where you have some control there, where you have better support. Use the corner. You can also get creative. Have your feet a little bit closer to the wall. Come down a little bit, and as I come down, see my heels raise up? Now from here, I can push my body up and down using those calf muscles, staying on my tiptoes. You can do that on the flat wall, in the corner, wherever. I don't care how you do it. And there are some machines that you can use to do this. You can use whatever you want, any piece of equipment, any type of technique you want, as long as you do it, as long as you strengthen up these thigh muscles, the calf muscles, as long as you get these muscles working better, strengthening them up, getting them to cooperate to get this stiffness and the jittery jerkiness out of them, to be able to do these simple postures, which are becoming, yes, more complex, to be able to do the very complex movements that we're going to be moving into. The big point with this is you choose the activities that you can tolerate or that you enjoy doing to do this exact same thing, to strengthen up these muscles in your thighs and in your calves so you can get better at doing these movements, so you can reduce some of that shaking, so you can increase your relaxation. And as you do that, your ability level is going to improve. You are going to be more stable. You're going to find that this is a little bit easier for me to do it. You're going to find that there are little things that you're doing around the house or otherwise that are a little bit better than they were before, and you're going to surprise yourself with some of that stuff. But the important point is you have to do it. You don't have a choice here unless you want to stay where you are. You have to find your way to help yourself be better at what you would like to be doing.